Look, there's a lot of new version servers coming out right now, and a lot of you have never really played the new version of PvP. Some of you are coming from 1.8 servers like Hypixel, or others of you are just new to the game and trying out these servers such as MCCI or Hoplite, and so you don't really know what's happening. So what I want to talk about today is a fairly simple concept, but one that a lot of people get wrong, and I've personally seen a ton of friends who are coming from the 1.8 community not quite understand, because in 1.8 it was very different. The feature that I want to talk about is a crit. For anyone that's very new to Minecraft PvP in general, a crit is just simply when you are falling down and hit an enemy, you get those little crit particles. When you do that, you get 50% more damage than if you were to just hit an enemy normally. All right, so now that's out of the way, because that's a fairly simple concept. If you're falling down while you hit an enemy, you do more damage. It's pretty basic, but for a lot of 1.8 players, it actually works very different than it used to on servers like Hypixel. One of the main things I want you to take note of, okay, this guy is just bowing. One of the big things I want you to take note of is the fact that I am just sprinting at this guy and the crit particles are still happening, all right? I'm just jumping around, hitting them, and you see those crit particles happening like every time. You see in new versions, we actually have to do something a little different. So let's see how this works. Let's try it again. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to run around them. And even when I'm in the air, you might notice we have different crit particles right now. They're blue. That's just the sharpness ones. I'm not necessarily trying to win here. I'm clearly not doing crits. So the big thing here that I want to note is that I was still sprinting while I was trying to do those crits. Let's try it differently. Let me stop moving whenever I hit this guy. You might notice we see two types of particles. We see the blue ones and the brownish gray ones, right? That's when I stop sprinting. If I start sprinting again, let me try and show this. Notice how I didn't get them. And now I stop, and I keep getting them, like that. So the main thing I want to note in these new versions is that you cannot sprint while critting. It's not possible. That is a feature in the game. Right now, I'll just show it on the screen. So a good habit to get into is when you go for a crit. Let's try and, okay, this guy's just, I was trying to just move back and get a crit here. Screw you. All right, ready? Bang. I let go of W. When I'm in the air, I just let go of W. You can also do it when you W tap. So let's say you get hit off of someone. I assume this guy will probably do it. When your finger is off of the W and you're starting to do the W tap, that's when you want to hit and get a free punish crit. It's called punish crit. And it's very useful in PvP situations. So if that guy hits me, I get crit. It's a lot harder when they go for crits, but that's one of the many things that stops you from critting. There are still a lot of things that can stop you from critting that you might not know about. If we go to the Minecraft wiki, look up critical hits, we can actually see this in play. All right, so if we scroll down just a little bit, we can see a section called critical hits. This explains that the attack will deal 150%, like I said, 50% more than a normal hit. And then we have the requirements for a melee critical hit. And so we can look over these. So player must be falling. We discussed that. Player must not be on the ground. That is probably implied. A player must not be on a ladder or any type of vine. So you can't just be climbing anything and do this. A player must not be in water. So if you are swimming at all, you cannot get a crit. Now here are where some of the less intuitive ones start. If you have blindness, you can actually not do crits. So we have blindness here. If we spawn in a zombie and I'm not sprinting, we physically cannot do a crit at all. If you are blinded, you can't. You also can't sprint if you're blinded. One that is probably a bit more understandable, but it is still on the same level as the blindness one, is a player must not be affected by slow falling. We have a slow falling potion effect on us. Let's put in a little zombie here. You cannot crit. How did I miss a stationary zombie? Now we get to some of our last ones. A player must not be riding an entity. You can't be riding a horse or a pig or anything. That one is also understandable, but that means even if you jump with a horse, you still cannot crit on the way down. A player must not be faster than walking. This is what we just discussed. Flying, sprinting, doesn't matter. You cannot be faster than walking speed. So the last one is a base attack must not be reduced below 90% damage due to cooldown. So that means when you're swinging, you see this little bar that pops up in the middle of the screen. That will correlate to the amount of damage you do. And so you want this to be about at least 90% full. I'm going to try and get 90%. See how I still got a crit there even though the bar wasn't entirely filled? If we spam click and try to crit, it won't happen. All right, so the last thing I just want to touch on real quick is the timing of a sword with these. The timing of a sword hit is the exact same as jumping. So if I'm just holding down space, I can just get infinite crits and just time it on my way down. It's very useful. You do not have to actually like time your sword swings if you are doing crits, because you just do it at the exact same time every time when you're falling down. That's about all you have to know about critting in this. Obviously, there's a lot more, like when you should use them and more that you can figure out with PvP tutorials. But I just wanted to do this for all the people that are maybe new to playing Minecraft in general, or people that are coming from 1.8. Because again, I have had many friends come from 1.8 and not know that you cannot sprint and crit, because you could in 1.8 and you can't in this version.